I remember wanting to die, and then here comes this fight. Die where? For what? Satan, you have no authority here. I will live. And I will declare God, even in my worst moments.
We may look different and live in different countries, yet our stories are knitted with the same threads of excitement, uncertainties, challenges, and victories. As we journey through the ups and downs of life, it is our undeniable will and God's strength that propel us to joy after pain, smile after frowns, and ups after downs. We were born to win. We were destined to greatness. We are overcomers. Welcome to God's Scoops, raw and unedited stories. Welcome to Raw and Unedited Stories. I am Patricia Daly, your host. Today with us is Tiffany Johnson, a mother, author, friend, woman of God. Hi, Tiffany. How you doing?
Hi, Patricia. It's so good to be here. I feel very blessed to be up and to be alive, to be able to open my eyes, to even be able to sit with you and speak with you like this. Yeah.
How is life?
Some days are really challenging. I try not to use the word hard, but some days real hard, and then others, you find yourself feeling really good, really positive, like you have a lot of fight in you and you can keep going.
Tiffany, I thank you for just coming here to God's Scoop to share your story with our audience. And I know that everybody has a story, and we can't wait to hear your story. So begin to tell us your story.
All right, so I'm Tiffany. I have this thing where I say I'm just me. And that's just to say that, I see myself as an individual who has personal quirks, and maybe, how do you put it? Like, there's just so much to a person. It's not just black and white or shades of gray. I was born here in Jamaica. I have lived here all my life. I've traveled maybe once or twice, because I did when I was younger. I grew up with my mom and my sisters and my brother. It was a challenging, journey. Childhood was pretty much non-existent. I don't think I learned how to be a child because, my mother, she's single mom. I had to, fall in and, ensure that I was helping out with my sisters and my brother, and all of those things. You take on responsibility very early, at that stage when, your mom is all by herself and she's juggling and trying to do her best. And, in hindsight, I didn't always see it that way. I didn't see her as doing her best. But if I look now, and in my heart of hearts, I look back, I see that she was doing her best, because I see that it's hard, having been in her shoe now, I see that it was hard and she was doing her best. So yeah, in a nutshell, I love to write. I love to read. I pressure my children to read, but they're like, yeah, that's not for us. We're gonna watch TV, or play games. But, I try to impress upon them the importance of reading. But yeah, in a nutshell, that's me. I love to laugh. I'm a happy person. I'm a positive person. People expect me to be negative and downcast because of what I've been through and, still going through, but that's not my nature. That's not how God made me. And I guess he knew that I needed this personality to get through. So, Yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Thank you. Thank you, Tiffany, for sharing that. Now, tell us, what is your story?
Well, it it wasn't always this way. I'd like to believe that I was en route to accomplishing my dream. I got married young. He came in like a white knight, white knight, black knight, and he, yeah, he was literally my knight in shining armor. Like the way he spoke, the things he said, all the things he did. Like I believe this man to be God's heart for me. You couldn't tell me otherwise. That's what I saw. Like he loved me. Like you being there, showing up, taking the time out to spend time with me, that means you love me, right? Because, growing up the way I did, there was always a skewed idea of love. Very skewed idea of love. You really didn't know what love was. My mother was not saying, I love you all the time. We know she loved us because, she fed us, she tried her best to do all the things that she needed to do. But growing up without a father, especially, you don't see the dynamics. You don't know, you're not exposed to that. When I was exposed to love and love languages was when I started to grow in my church, around those people were love. That for me, there was this person in my life, and he made all the difference. Like I feel like because of the way he treated me, I never took crap from any person or any man or any boy, any teenage boy, nowhere, no how. Because this man, he's passed now, and I used to call him my father, and he never refuted it. And he was God's heart for me, and so I tried to take from what he showed me and place it on this man who has now come into my life, professing love, telling me that he wants the type of marriage that he sees his parents with. And I'm like, yeah, because his parents have been married for a while, and them seem to love each other and all of those things, and them seem so knitted, and he wants that kind of relationship. And I'm like, yes, I deserve that. I want that, So I bought into that. I bought into the fairy tale, and I call it a fairy tale now because the way I am now, I'm very guarded. I don't trust very easily. Probably some would say I don't trust at all. So, all of that, and when he proposed to me, to be honest with you, I ran.
Wow.
I don't know why I ran, but I got up out of the room and I ran out, and I ran down the stairs, and I ran down the road, and I stayed down at a little shop, and I did not come back.
Wow.
Yeah. I think about it now, and I even joke about it with my kids, and I say, man, I should have kept on running. And I never really thought about it until things started to crash and burn. All the signs that, God was possibly giving me to say, hey, this is not the man. This is not the person. This is not your person. You need to look a little deeper. You need to really see him in all of his elements. But you're floundering. He's showing you all the right things. He doesn't seem to be putting on any facade. He seems genuine, and it's everything that you want as a girl growing up without a father in a household with you don't know what love is really. It seems like love. It looks like it.
But Tiffany,
to be it.
I want to interject a little and ask you, at the first period of your marriage, how was that like, and when did things really begin to change?
I mean, I think I was, they say ride and die, Bonnie and Clyde. That was me for him, like ride or die, like not giving up on nobody, like defend him. I got your back. That was me with him. And if I'm being honest, Patricia, the signs were there from the very beginning. But you have to be human and say humans make mistakes. So you're not looking and saying, okay, this is a bad person. You're saying this is an error. It's a mistake. You know, I'm not going to use this as a tool to say you are completely off or completely wrong. But the signs were there. I remember we just got married, fresh off the bridal train, the works. And I went to his workplace and he was flirting with the receptionist. And I remember being very hurt about it. I remember being embarrassed. I felt disrespected, but I didn't address it there because I didn't feel like it was the space. And I waited until I went home to address it. And I spoke to him about it when I was home. And he said to me, "You're not the prettiest girl in the world." And that was the first chip into me, because he'd been chipping away at me for a long time, but I didn't realize it. And that was the first crack. It was just a crack, you know. I hurt about it. I told him how I felt. I told a friend of mine who I was very close to about it that happened. I think at that point I was only really talking to one person about the pains and traumas that I was going through. And even then I still did not tear into him or speak poorly of him or anything. But that was the first instance that I said, hey, you're not exactly who you presented yourself to be. You're kind of different now. And from there, there was more, but it was stretches, it was spaced, the things started showing up like here and there. And then 4 years from today, I want to say not 4 years because it would be 6 years at this point, but it was 6 years ago that things really started to take a turn for the utmost worst. It was just things that you couldn't fathom because you're like, then how? He stopped taking care of responsibilities. At that point, I didn't know the extent because I know that he used to say he didn't have any money. It was always he didn't have any money. And money can be a big issue in a marriage. Finances can really tear at the seams, and that was one of the biggest problems. Finances. He never had money. He was working a 9 to 5, whereas I was the one juggling. I was doing makeup on the side. I was baking and selling. When I started to speak poorly of myself, and I had to really sit down and say, I apologize to me for that, because I was conditioned to believing that I was worthless. I didn't know that he was doing it with the gaslighting and all of those things. You're not familiar with those terms, like, I don't know what that is. Until after, when, somebody was looking closely at my situation, she was like, that's very... And she was like, no, you need to really... And I was like, no, man, he's just expressing himself, telling me what he feels and whatever. And she's like, no, there's a healthy way to do that. And that's not healthy. That's tearing you down. And I didn't realize that.
Tiffany, I want to ask you this question before we carry on into the conversation. Was he a believer? And how did you feel going to church and experiencing that kind of shift in your relationship?
He was a believer. He was, and I mean, I say was because of the dynamics of how things changed. He grew up in a Christian home. I know his parents. They're God, you know, they believe in God. You see it. It's something that you can see, you know. It's not just hearsay or oh, because they go to that church every. I could hear and see that they believe God and that they love God. You understand? So, and he was very active in the church, you know. I think that was one of the things that I was drawn to, because I was like, when he asked me out, he asked me to a church event.
Mm.
He didn't need to sell me after that. Like, I was sold.
Mm.
I was sold. I was like, seriously? You know what, Lord? Yes. Yes, honey. Because I remember praying and saying to God, this is the man that I want. And I laid it all out. And here he comes. And I'm like, yes, honey. Yes. This is what I want, you know? So, like, the shift and everything it's mind blowing. Even now, if I'm being honest with myself, it's mind blowing. Like, I still can't believe it. I still can't believe the shift. I still can't believe the difference in the personality. I still can't believe it. I see it. I know it's happened. I know he did it, but I still don't believe that it's happened.
Tiffany, I see a lot of resilience in you as you share your story and talk about some of the things you got through. Tell us, tell our audience, what are some things that he did really that caused you to say, no, no, it's time to pack up?
You know, like, I went through a whole marriage of, it was a loveless marriage. It was an abusive marriage. I didn't even know it was abuse. I just thought, you go through rough patches, you know, you fight and you overcome, you know. There was so much, and there were friends that kept on saying, you know, how did you take it all so long and so quietly? But you grew up learning to suffer in silence. Nobody shares their pain. You know, it's taboo. Like, you fight for your marriage, you fight tooth and nail, you go, you climb, you praise, you pray, and you maintain. You don't give up, you don't surrender. This a marriage, you didn't come into it to just divorce, you know, you didn't come into it to just give up and throw in the towel. And let me tell you, I've wanted to throw in the towel many times. I remember there was one time that I was just depressed. It was borderline suicidal. I had anxiety. I was miserable. And I think I went to somebody and I said to them, I want to divorce him. I want out. I can't take it anymore. And that was when I had just had our second child. And the response that I was given made me feel like, even though I explained why I wanted it and said and shared, you know, what was happening, I felt like the onus was on me. Like, it was me who could not endure, me who was giving up. So I said, you know what? All right, let me keep fighting. Let me keep pushing. Let me stay dutiful, be that dutiful wife. And that's what I did, you know. And misery, depression, anxiety, panic. Let me tell you, 2020 was when he left, December 2020. And how that happened was, it was disrespect, abusive behavior, talking to me like I was filth on his shoe. And I remember saying to God, because I've been praying, like, don't get me wrong, like, pray. Pray? Oh God, you can't talk to me about prayer, praying and bawling like, People call me weeping willow, facing the ground, bawling to God. When I don't have no words, weeping, oh Lord, you don't pray. And I remember
Tiffany,
yes.
what were some things that he said and actually did? Because you're alluding to abuse. Is it
Yes.
physical and verbal and emotional? Can we tap into those specifically?
Yes. All right. So he didn't hit me until December 2020. That was the first time. I mean, there are probably other instances where, you know, he would give me like a good slap or punch, but I thought it was just playing. Like, you know, like I never really took it as anything. There was moments he would like punch the door, like when I was trying to close the bathroom door, or push it on me, or punch the barrel while I was trying to talk to him about something, but he felt that I shouldn't have been saying anything, or maybe I had no place to say things like that. Um, there was a lot of sexual things that I felt was wrong, but the society, even police officers said, no, it's not wrong. He owns your body. But I'm saying, how am I asleep? And I say no, and you still, like, it doesn't make sense to me. So there was that. There was a lot of verbal and emotional abuse. You know, he would say to me, oh, you're heavy, you know, to tell me that I'm getting fat. But he was very passive aggressive about certain things. So he would use terms that maybe would make me think about it a little bit more. Like, are you saying what I think you're saying? Or maybe I'm reading too much into it. So I would always second guess myself, you know. If I was ever hurt about anything, he would say, well, I never mean it like that. You're taking it the wrong way. You're overreacting. You know? And he was never wrong. Never wrong.
And
never wrong.
How did his behavior impact your older kids?
I didn't know that they were being impacted until because he walked out 3 times. And I remember crying and bawling, wailing, the words not dripping down my nose, my son holding me. And I remember him saying, my 11-year-old, no, he's now 11-year-old. At the time, he was what? I want to say 9. He said to me, Mommy, stop this. It was always this way. It was always just you. And he told me, my son told me, he said, Mommy, when you thought I was sleeping, I wasn't. I saw everything. I heard everything. You were always sad. You never.
Tiffany, I just want to commend you for getting up and pulling yourself out for your kids' sake. I want to commend you. It takes guts to do that. And how do you feel about yourself now that you have decided to do that, to get out of physical, mental, emotional abuse?
You know, I think it was really God that pushed it, because as I said, Patricia, I would have fought tooth and nail. I would have never given up. But God had to sever it. He had to bring it to a point where I would see that, no, this is not what I want for you. This is not what I want for these children. Do you think I would rather you be here in this marriage suffering, silently hurting, depressed? My children are the ones telling me these things. They're the ones opening my eyes and saying, but Mommy, this is what is happening. Mommy, stop. Let him go. My son shaking his head. ashamed because I'm begging a man who has decided that I am worth nothing. And my son is ashamed of me. And it took that for me to say, okay, it's time to just let go and let God. So if I'm honest, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
If I'm honest with you, it was really their strength, their resilience that I had to tap into to pull myself from that brink of catastrophe. I didn't even believe that I would make it to this year. When January came around, I was like, I'm here. We're here. You know, and it was just a sigh of relief because I didn't think I would be here. And I'm so grateful. I remember wanting to die, and then here comes this fight. Die where? For what? Satan, you have no authority here. I will live. And I will declare God. Even in my worst moments, you will know that it is God that I serve. My speech will betray me because even when my spirit wants to give up, my mouth will keep confessing and professing that God lives and that he is keeping me. And I got real mad on the enemy. He will not kill me. I will not give you the satisfaction. So that fight came. And I kept on fighting.
Praise God. Tiffany, if you could talk to your younger self as a young lady looking for a life partner, what would you say to her?
Never settle. Give God the desires of your heart. Don't worry about time. Don't worry about... God is bigger than time. God is bigger than anything. The way how I see God. Hey, the way how I see God. Just focus on God. Focus on God. Keep your eyes fixed on him. And don't settle. Don't settle. You deserve everything that you want, everything that you desire. Put it to him. You want a guy with curly hair and say, Lord, may I please have a guy with curly hair? And you please have muscles all over? Say it to God. God hears you and him understand and he knows what he has for you, you know. Him know him have for you, and what he has for you is way better, you know. You don't even have to second guess that. What God has for you is always going to be the best.
Amen. Amen. Tiffany, tell me, how are you managing as a single mother since you made that big move to step outside of abuse, to get out of it? How are you managing?
Whew. It's been a really rough journey. My kids are my heartbeat. You know, I tell them every day. I mean, I'm stern with them, you know. I get miserable with them sometimes, but I tell them every day that they are the most valuable thing that I own and possess. There's nothing to me that is more valuable than them. And I think when I started out, you know, trying to manage by myself, a lot of things was really ripping at me because I felt I wasn't doing a good job of maintaining them, and that really ate away at me, you know. I think at that point I started to really wonder how I was going to do it. It's 4 of them. They eat a lot. They require a lot. You know, They go to school, except for the 2-year-old, you know. And I sat down many times right here in this corner, and I said to God, God, what am I going to do? It's just me and you and them. You are the only help that I have, you know?
Yes. Tiffany, what have you discovered about Tiffany since you have decided to move forward and take the plunge of loving you? What have you discovered about Tiffany?
You know, I realized that the enemy is afraid of me. Oh, how he's afraid of me. Because no matter how much time I fall, I get back up. Sometimes it takes me a little bit longer, but I found that I never used to believe it, that I was strong, you know. And, you know, I hear that I'm proud. I hear that a lot. You're so proud. You know, you can't be proud all the time if you need to like talk and, you know. I mean, I'm more open now. I found my voice. And I feel like because I found my voice, the enemy shakes a bit more and he tries to really knock me off my feet a lot more, you know. But I'm growing. I love life now. Before I was just existing. My whole life was solely in the hands of somebody who took advantage of it. I gave them autonomy, but I took that power back, you know?
Praise God.
Yes, you know, and when I fall, I keep saying, that's okay. I'm going to come back to myself. And when I come back, you going to run and hide, you know? Like, I keep doing that because I want people to understand that you're going to be vulnerable, you're going to shake, you're going to frail, you know, but you don't give up. And believe me, I've been to that point of wanting to give up. Probably you could say I even give up many times, you know. But what I know is you don't stay there too long. Don't stay there too long. Keep going. So I keep getting up. So I know I'm resilient. I know beyond a shadow of that doubt that God is with me. You know, and I used to say all of heaven and God's angels stand behind me. And I believe it now. I believe it now. Patricia, if I tell you where I was when I posted that video, I was afraid. I wanted to hide. You know, hide. God, just take me up. Take me up because we don't think we can manage this one. And the support from the community, the support.
Tiffany, what video are you talking about?
On Friday, a couple weeks ago, when I was beaten up, you know, it was a point where I never saw it coming, but he came another guy. Well, I thought he wanted to see the children, so I let him in, and he asked me for a piece of document that validates my identity. And I told him that you can always go and apply for the same document and pay the money and get it, but I cannot give you this document. In fact, I won't give you this document. Why don't you just go and apply for it? And it ensued in a whole debacle, you know. And of course, I held fast. I said, I'm not giving it to you. And he turned the place upside down, you know, started to search through everything. And then when he got his hands on them, I held on to him and I tried to take it from him, and he hit me in my head, choke hold me, hands, elbow against my. It was a whole. I remember crying out to God. I felt like it was the fight of my life and it was never ending. I just wanted it to end, you know. but I was beaten. I had to go to the doctor because I thought the pain would subside, but it didn't. And the doctor said that I had blunt trauma to my neck, my spine, and my hip. So she ordered X-ray, and she gave me really strong pain. It was so strong. So she had to give me something to stop the stomach ache that the painkillers gave. I still have the pain in my head and my neck and my spine sometimes, especially when I'm sitting or standing for a good period of time. Sometimes just out of the blue, it just comes on, but I'm still on the medication. She put it on repeat. But, that video that I posted it because I was scared. I was afraid for my life. I genuinely thought that he was going to come back, and maybe the next time I wouldn't be so lucky, or maybe I would be walking on the road, and there were so many things going through my mind, and I was like, but the only thing that was on my mind most was my children, like not wanting to leave them in this world where I'm not there to love them and care for them. So it was out of that fear that I recorded that video.
Tiffany, tell me, did you report this man?
Yes, I did. After I went to the doctor's office on the Saturday, it was a holiday, August 6th. After I went to the doctor's office, I went to the police station and I did report it. And I honestly can't say that I felt relief having reported it, because maybe I don't have a lot of faith in our justice system here. And also I know that he has evaded justice before. So, what's to stop him from doing it again? But I have, I don't want to have to think about going anywhere without my children. My children are called my handbags. The wholesales in Half-a-Tree, the people out there, they call them my handbags. She always have them with her. I always have my children with me. It has to be a situation. Sorry, go ahead, Patricia.
Go ahead. Then I'll ask you after.
Yeah, I'm saying that it has to be a situation where I have no other choice and I have to leave them. And my mother was here for an emergency one time and she took them for the whole time, And I remember missing them hopelessly, but not wanting to contact them because I wanted them to just be children and not have to worry about their mother like they worry about me. I have an 8-year-old that he gets up from his seat ever so often. Mommy, are you okay? You don't look okay. Are you okay? And that is another heavy thing that I have to deal with because I feel like they worry about me, And I love them for it, but I want them to be kids, I want them to laugh and play and be completely carefree. So at that point, I just left them. I left them and they had fun and them was carefree kids and they ate whatever they wanted, and my mother did spoil them that time that she was here. And my sister, she had them for 3 days some time ago, and I had to deal with some stuff for their school. I think it was last week or the week before. And she sent me videos. They were just being kids, no worrying about mommy. Because when I had the injury, the neck and whatever, they would rush out of their sleep to help me up off the toilet because I couldn't stand without being assisted or lay down without being assisted. And that's not what I want for them. So when they were there, I felt good. I didn't bother them. She sent me videos of them playing, and I was like, yes, that's how they're supposed to be. Playing in dirt, being kids, eating whatever they want, not worried about mommy, not trying to be grown for once. Like, let them be kids. So, yeah.
Tiffany, I was just getting to ask you about your support system, and I see mother and sister, and I can imagine that you have folks from church and other places who will support you in this journey. And I want to ask you, what are some challenges you're having? What are some things that you say would keep you up at night? No.
keeping me up at night most of the times, and I don't feel like I worry about anything as much as I worry about food and them going to school and getting home back safely. Those are the two main things. Before the summer, before I got on this training program, we walked everywhere. Everywhere. We can probably enter a walking marathon and beat even the people that were well seasoned, because we can walk. And I knew it started to affect my daughter. Even outside of her, I knew it was affecting them because they would cry for their joints or foot or something, and I used to feel it, because I'm not telling them, but the way how I'm paying up, I can't even close my eyes to go to sleep. But I don't want them to think about that. I try to give them a whole heap of joke on the journey for them to think about it, walking. But then they'll come and they're like, Mommy, the whole of me hurt me. You know what I'm saying? You're building strong muscles, man. You're building strong muscles, and Aiden will be like, right. We supposed to believe. I'm like, yeah, you're building strong muscles, and he will be like, Mommy, you know that you're just making a fun out of a serious situation. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. We have to laugh at it. But guess what? One day you're gonna look back and you're gonna say, Mommy, you remember when we used to walk? Look at me now in my big car driving everywhere. So I give them that positive spin to make it a little less, and tell them that that's why we work hard and work as a team, because we have to make this worth something. All of this pain, all of this trial, all of this suffering, you want it to be worth something. And then the other thing is just food,
Yes.
Patricia, I stopped eating because in my mind, if I didn't eat, they'd have more. So we had this long running joke between me and my eldest. He's very smart. I mean, they're all very smart, but I feel like he's like, Mommy, I'm watching you, I'm noticing. And I'm like, what are you noticing? Mommy, when is the last time you eat? I'm like, Papa, may I fast, man, may I fast? Papa's like, fasting all the time. I'm watching you. He would be like, I'm watching you, Mommy, I'm watching you.
Tiffany, I am gleaning that you're stronger than you know. That's what I'm gleaning as I listen to you. And I really want you to take this opportunity before we close this session to talk to abused wives, especially in church, because we do have many, many women who are under disguise, and even those who are outside of church. Talk to them. Use this minute to just talk to abused women.
All right, so queens, and I admonish you as queens because that is who you are. That is what God addresses you as. He says royal priesthood, holy nation, fearfully, wonderfully made. He said his works are marvelous, and he knows this. You are his work. You are his work. And you are a queen. And God loves you. He adores you. There is nothing that you can do to disappoint him or make him love you any less. You didn't lift him up, so you cannot bring him down. So you have to know that you're worth more than this. You have to know that you don't deserve this. You have to know that God doesn't want this for you. God calls your husband to love you just as he loves the church. God doesn't speak in error. And his word, it's the gospel, literally, truth. So queens, If you've never told anybody about the abuse, you need to talk now. Speak up. Speak up. And you have to decide that you don't deserve it. You have to know that you are worth more, and you have to love yourself some more. If you don't love yourself enough to stand up and say, hey, I'm not going to take this anymore.
Tiffany, thank you for sharing your story. And thank you for talking to women who are struggling silently. And to our listeners who have tuned in, I thank you. And if you need or you want to support Tiffany in any way, you can reach out to us on godscoop.com. And thank you for staying with us and listening to Tiffany's story of redemption and deliverance, a story of healing. Thank you. And everybody has a story. If you have a story to share, click the link below. And remember to subscribe, like, and share. Have a phenomenal day.